What's going on, everyone? Trust the Buzz here. If you're new to the channel, I make daily Charlotte Hornets content, so if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the news. I forgot who reported it, so forgive me, but basically it's the news that the Phoenix Suns are looking to trade Jae Crowder. Who are the teams that are interested? Well, one of those teams just so happened to be the Charlotte Hornets. Now, when I first saw it, I was actually pretty confused because why would the Charlotte Hornets want Jae Crowder? I hope it wasn't one of those things. I was hoping it wasn't one of those things where they still think we can kind of fight our way back into the play-in spot. But then the more I sat on it, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this really could just be a sign that the Hornets are really tanking. Because like I said, it said the Hornets are basically interested in Jae Crowder. And the Phoenix Suns are interested in a power forward. Well, who's a power forward on our team that they would want? And the only option is PJ Washington. PJ Washington would fit. He would be really good on the Suns, if you ask me. Play the same role as Cam Johnson, but he's a little more physical in that role. He's not something that Cam Johnson nor Jae Crowder is, so it's a completely different player. And I feel like that could really help this team because he can play small ball 5, which they currently run Bismack Biyombo at 5 at times, which it's been working for him. But he can run small ball 5. He can run the 4. So I think that PJ would really thrive in that situation. The Phoenix Suns, a guilty pleasure of mine, I guess. They are the team that I watch the most. If it's not the Hornets, I watch the Suns a lot. So I think PJ Washington would just be perfect on there. But let's kind of see how this trade will even play out. Just because I think that's going to happen doesn't mean that it will happen. It doesn't mean the Hornets will even get Jae Crowder. But it's just, let's just explore some avenues on how the Charlotte Hornets could get PJ Washington. So don't forget to leave a like on the video and let's go ahead and get into it. So as you can see here, Jae Crowder, he's in the last year of his deal, 32 years old. None of this matters. The only thing that matters here is that he's in the last year of his deal because of the fact that his age doesn't matter because he's not going to play for the team. His skill set really doesn't matter because he's not going to play for the team. Now, last year, would Jae Crowder been a good addition to the Charlotte Hornets? Of course. I think Jae Crowder, what this team, something that's not talked about with this team because we saw last year how good the offense was, and this year we haven't really had LaMelo Ball, so the offense has been struggling. But something that's not really talked about enough is that this team has a lot of guys who just so happen can shoot but aren't shooters. Jae Crowder is, in my opinion, is a shooter. He's a guy that can sit in the corner and consistently hit those threes, and that's something you would want him to do. We don't have that. We have a lot of guys who can also shoot, like Kelly Oubre, for example. Kelly Oubre, I really necessarily wouldn't call him a shooter, but we know he can make those shots. Jalen McDaniels, I know at the beginning of the year he was going crazy. PJ Washington, same thing. Well, not going crazy, but my point is they can hit threes, they can hit open threes, but they're not quite shooters. Jae Crowder is a shooter, and I think that would have been really helpful for the team last year, but we're not talking about that. Like I said, the only thing that matters is how much he makes because you got to have the contracts match up, and then that's it. And then he's in the last year of his deal. So basically, how would this trade even happen? So why is a better way to put it. So PJ Washington, the Charlotte Hornets were going to re-sign him, and I forgot what the actual deal was. I'll probably flash something up on the screen. The deal they offered him, it wasn't $20 million a year, and that's kind of what he wanted. And Charlotte Hornets, so we're going to take our chances. And it kind of, in this way, unlike Miles Bridges, in a way it worked for him. PJ is not showing that he's worth $20 million. If they would have signed him $20 million before the season, I was one of those people where I wouldn't be upset and I wouldn't be surprised. However, I wouldn't think it's the best move, but I get it. It's like one of those moves where it's like, I really don't want it to happen, but I get it. I understand it. And so they decided not to, and they decided to play it out. And PJ decided to test his value and see what he can do and bet on himself. And it just really hasn't turned out that way. He's shown that he can score. I mean, he's shown that he has a mixed bag of tricks, but it's just not consistent enough, especially for someone that wants $20 million in a spot this roster's currently in. It's not like, oh, he's the 5th starter, let's go ahead and solidify him up just so we can keep our core. No, we're still trying to figure out where everyone is going. To be honest, the only sure things that we have on the team is LaMelo Ball. Like, we don't know about Jalen McDaniels for sure. We don't know about a lot of players for sure. Like, there's players that we like. Of course, Kai Jones, who's been getting a lot more minutes. Mark Williams, who's been dominating in the G League. Bryce McGowan, who looked really good in the game that was a blowout against the Celtics. We have players who look good. However, no one is just, okay, that guy is going to be here except LaMelo Ball. So it's not easy to pay a guy like PJ $20 million a year when we don't even know what the roster's going to look like or how he's going to fit in. We might not even have the same coach next year. So it's just a lot to pay a guy $20 million when so much is up in the air, and it's not like he's just dominating. So that's why the Charlotte Hornets would trade him, and we know why the Phoenix Suns would trade Jae Crowder is because of the fact that he chose not to suit up this year for the Phoenix Suns because Cam Johnson isn't playing this year. Well, because Cam Johnson became the starter, but now Cam Johnson's hurt, so now they're really hurt at that position. So what can the Phoenix Suns do to get a player that can kind of fill that same role but also provide a lot of value? PJ Washington is a guy that can do that specifically for the Charlotte Hornets. Now, there are a lot of other guys who I'm pretty sure the Phoenix Suns would rather have maybe. However, my point, the whole video, of course, is that it said the Hornets were interested, and I'm trying to explain why the Hornets would be interested. I'm not even sure if the Phoenix Suns are interested in dealing with the Hornets, but we'll see. So then we go to PJ, and as you see, his deal, like as we talked about, he is able to be like re-signed. What is that? Where he'll become like an unrestricted free agent if he signs the qualifying offer. But the Charlotte Hornets decided we're not going to pay him, so we're going to let him just go out there and see what he can do. And he, like I said, he hasn't done much. So therefore, their probably best interest is to trade him because you can get something back as opposed to him just leaving up straight up in free agency. Because the NBA is a scary place, especially in free agency, because of the fact that you never know who's worth some type of money to some team. So the thing is, you don't want to be in the Charlotte Hornets shoes where, all right, someone did offer PJ $20 million. Now we have to basically accept it or else we lose him for nothing. So if you're not interested in signing him and you're afraid of that happening, why not trade him and get something back? So that's why they would trade PJ. And of course, I already brought up the ESPN trade machine, because what is trade speculation without a trade machine? So here, I already have it all set up. I already have it all set up. So basically here you see that Jae Crowder, $10 million, PJ $5 million. Now, will this work? Yes, it does work. So this deal can happen. Now, of course, one thing I'd like to mention is as you see, there's no picks here. And if you're the Charlotte Hornets, you don't really want to be guilty and be like, oh, you can't give me Josh Okogie. Give me, Dwayne Washington or Ian Wright, or you know what I mean? Or Landry Shamet. You don't want to be greedy. You want to kind of stick with this trade. And the reason you do that is obviously for the Phoenix Suns first round pick. Does this go to Kobe Jones? Okay, it goes to the Phoenix Suns. So as you see here, they have the 28th and 58th pick right now. Now, 28th, it's like, but that's so far in the draft. This draft class is loaded. There are still guys who are kind of trickling their way in from the 50s, like is in the big board, which I have a draft channel. So if you're interested in that, I'll put the link down in the description below where I talk about college basketball, NBA draft. It's kind of what I've been doing a lot because I'm more interested in this than what the Hornets are doing right now, but it is what it is. But I'm definitely going to keep the Hornets content coming, of course. So as you see, they had a 28 and 58 pick. And I also checked, which I don't have the tab pulled up, but I also checked that the Phoenix Suns also have all of their picks. So they don't have anyone else's pick, but they do have all their picks. So their picks from this year, next year, and so on and so forth until I think 2028. And that's just the last I saw. But they have all their picks. If you're the Hornets, you're taking this. This is just the pick. The trade essentially will be Jae Crowder, PJ Washington. Well, Jae Crowder in the 2023 first round pick, which is, let's say, 28th for now. And yeah, that for PJ Washington. So once again, it'll be Jae Crowder, the 2023 first round pick for PJ Washington. And like I said, they get a guy to fill in that power forward spot. They have to decide what they're going to do about re-signing him. However, there's a lot of things they can do because the whole thing with DeAndre Ayton. I know they just re-signed him, but does he even really want to be there? Do they even want to have him there? And then they can just maybe mix up some of that money and then get PJ and then re-sign PJ. It's up to them. And then also, if you're the Phoenix Suns, you win a championship with this roster, you might not even bring back PJ. You're like, all right, thank you for the championship. We'll see you later. So, and I mean, that's the whole point of trading Jae Crowder in first round pick. You won a championship. So does that first round pick matter? No. Does Jae Crowder matter? No. So there's a lot of different ways the Phoenix Suns could, finagle this and get kind of what they want. But they really just want someone to compete and be able to help them win the national. Well, I say national too much, college basketball. Help them win the NBA championship. So why would this 28th pick be enough? All right. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna just sim the lottery, and then we're gonna go over the Hornets pick. So you send the lottery here, and nothing's definite or anything like that. But you send the lottery. Hornets fall down to 8th in this specific scenario, but hey, like I said, I got all your draft coverage up here. So I'm gonna break it down for you. I actually have videos coming out where I am actually talking about the NBA draft, but we'll just, for this sake, go kind of briefly go through it. So Hornets fall from 5th to 8th. Fine. I know a lot of people worry and like, oh, we're not going to get a good player, this, that, and the other. If the Hornets do their due diligence, there's no way they'll mess this up. Top 10 is pretty definite when it comes to this NBA draft. So there's no way they should really mess it up. However, it is the Charlotte Hornets, so I will not be surprised. But right now, I don't see anybody being the MKG, which, if you remember the MKG years, and I'll talk about this in another video actually, but if you remember MKG, there was no one that had him going second. Everyone had him going 5th through 7th, 5th through 8th, something like that. And also, it was known he couldn't shoot. So why would you draft someone who is known to not be able to shoot second? It doesn't make any sense. You draft a project type player second. It doesn't make any sense. So as much as people like to say we were screwed because we should have got the first pick, we should have. However, the Hornets really messed it up by picking MKG. That no one told them to do that. So anyway, let's say you get Keontae George here. Not mad at it at all. Keontae George is he's just a very exciting player to watch. He can do a little bit of everything. As you see his stats, basically this is per 36, right? So we'll do per game just to show you. But 14 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. He is moving. He's active on defense. He reminds me. I'm only relating this because we're talking about the Hornets, but it reminds me of just kind of like Terry Rozier. He just does a lot of everything. He can move without the ball. He obviously can ball handle. And this is not an even close comparison. I'm only doing it because, like I said, we're talking about the Hornets here. But the thing is, I feel like he gives a little more effort on defense. He's a little better on defense. And so that is going to be something that's good. That's going to be a good pick. But problem is, 6'4", we still need a real defensive stopper in that shooting guard position, or at least 1 through 3. We need someone that can start and be a defensive stopper. So I could also see the Hornets getting Dylan Mitchell, who can't shoot, but this is more of a trade back. Dylan Mitchell, he can't shoot, doesn't want to shoot, but he plays amazing defense and he's extremely athletic. So I can see the Hornets doing that, but like backing up. All right, and then let's go down here. We also have the 27th pick because of the Denver Nuggets, and that pick is, I believe, is either lottery protected or top 16 protected. Either way, Denver Nuggets, that pick is going to convey, and we're going to have that pick. So then you have 27-28. Now you could take 27-28 and make these draft choices. At this point, you're trying to rebuild the roster, see what you can get. Arthur Kaluma, he's a good guy from Creighton. He's not super athletic, super fast, but he's a pretty good He's pretty good on the defensive end. He knows how to lock up. He doesn't have that quickness to get around people, and he's not the world's best 3-point shooter, but he does find a way to get to the basket, and he's a pretty aggressive finisher. Like I said, he's not super athletic, but he knows how to get to the basket, and he's pretty good on the defensive end. And then Kobe Jones is literally a do-it-all, as you can see here. The 16 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, almost a block, and then almost 2 steals from Xavier. He's a really good player to have as well, and he's not super young. He's a junior, so he's not coming in super raw like Kai Jones, and I wouldn't even say Mark Williams, because Mark Williams spent 2 years in college. But Kai Jones super raw, even though he spent, I think, 2 years in college as well, but he was super raw. James Bouknight, we thought, we see that James Bouknight still was really raw. As talented and as gifted as he is, or was, or however you want to say it, he still has some ways to go. Kobe Jones, you don't have to worry about that. I think he's a guy who can come in and really help. Or you could take both these. I know it's 27-28 and they're consecutive after each other, but you can take them and then trade up and get Gigi Jackson, who could fill in there for that PJ spot, and he's super talented. He's only 17 years old, and he's just, as you can see here, and he's, I wouldn't say dominating, but he just pops off the screen when you're watching South Carolina play. So there's a lot of options that the Hornets can do here if they just make a simple trade, because you're not going to re-sign PJ anyway, and then also you just go ahead, get Jae Crowder, buy him out, let him go to the Heat or something, and you have 3 first-round picks. 3. And then let's say they fall. Let's say they fall to 8 like it does here. You have 3 first-round picks. You can go up let's say you don't want Keontae George, you don't really want to invest in Dylan Mitchell because, like I said, he does not have too much of an offensive game. All right, well, you could take those 3 picks and probably get up here. Anyone in the top 3, I don't think is going to get rid of their pick. I don't know what you'd have to offer, but I'm pretty sure anyone in the top 3 is not going to give up their pick. Even these 2 teams, even though they're not going to get Victor Wembanyama, they're not going to give up any of these picks. However, you could take those 3 picks. Maybe take 2 of them. Take 8 and 27. Take 8 and 27, 8 and 28. Move up. Get Ausar Thompson, who right now might be the better Thompson brother because they both kind of have the same skill set. Ausar has added a jump shot, and he looks confident taking it. So you have a guy who can really, really play next to LaMelo. 6'7" LaMelo, 6'7" Ausar, and then like I said, this guy can ball handle. He can play defense, and he is adding a jump shot. So I think that would be really helpful as well. So there's a lot of things you can do with just making a simple trade because you do not want to sign PJ anyway. At least that's what I'm getting from. But anyway, that does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry it was kind of long. I really thought it was going to be like an 8-minute video, so maybe I can cut it. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any other topics you want to talk about or anything like that. I have a lot of videos coming out because I'm just revitalized and just ready to give y'all the content you deserve. I'm at 615, so help me get to 1,000 because that's the road we are on. And also, once again, if you want to talk specifically draft or college basketball, make sure you go down in the description below and click the link from my other channel, Draft Nerds. Been doing a lot of content over there as well. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.